When I decorated our home, my husband's family showed up and replaced everything smiling. I'm in my late 30s, live just outside Cincinnati, work as a remote interior decorator. I've been married to Roy for 5 years. His family believes tradition matters more than common sense. 2 years ago, we bought a house together, or that's what Roy says. In reality, I paid the entire down payment, $47,000. My name is the only name on the deed. That's important. I spent 6 months turning that house into something beautiful. I made mood boards, did DIY projects, sourced things secondhand and vintage. It finally felt like mine. Then on a Sunday, Roy said his family wanted to see the house. I baked muffins, brewed coffee. At 1 p.m., the whole family pulled up. His parents, both sisters and a cousin. I opened the door, expecting compliments. Instead, his mom Delia said, "Oh, this is very modern." His sister Tess said, "It doesn't feel like a family home." I thought it was just passive-aggressive stuff. I was wrong. Around 3:30 p.m., Roy and his dad went outside and started bringing in boxes, giant boxes, then a rug, then paintings, then curtain rods. I stood there watching them bring in furniture, decorations, kitchenware, lamps, like they were moving in. I asked Roy what's going on. He wouldn't look at me and said, "They brought some things they thought we'd like. It's not a big deal." Delia turned to me with a smug smile and said, "A wife follows the husband's family style. That's tradition." I looked at Roy, waiting for him to say something. He didn't. They started taking things off my walls, moved my handcrafted coffee table into the garage, replaced my white curtains with burgundy ones. They unscrewed my light fixture and replaced it with a brass chandelier Delia had in storage, shoved my handmade vases and bowls into boxes, put up Bible quotes, fake flowers, and oil paintings. I kept looking at Roy. He just said, "It's just how it is. They're trying to help." I sat there for 2 hours watching them redecorate like I was invisible. Delia giving directions, Tess folding my curtains like trash, Roy scrolling his phone. By 7 p.m., the house looked like a retirement home. Heavy colors, mismatched furniture, fake ivy vines, 3 massive Jesus paintings. My house didn't feel like home. It felt like storage. After they left, I walked into the bedroom. Roy came in and said, "Don't be mad. You know how my family is." I asked, "Do you like what they did?" He shrugged. "I don't really care. It's just stuff." I said nothing, but I stayed awake all night planning. Monday morning, I rented a storage unit 2 towns over, then texted my friend Theo, who owns a moving service. Years ago, I helped design his office for free. He owed me. I told him I needed everything removed. My things returned, their things gone. Donated, trashed, I didn't care. We set it for Friday night. That week, I smiled at every gift they brought. Tess brought a grandfather clock. I said, "Lovely." Delia suggested oak cabinets. I said, "Maybe next month." They had no idea. By Friday, the house looked worse. Delia replaced our stools with carved chairs that didn't fit. Tess added a giant cross above the TV. The doormat said, "Bless this mess." Roy kept saying, "Don't overreact. It's not worth a fight." Friday, 11:30 p.m. Theo showed up with 3 guys and 2 trucks. By 1:45 a.m., everything his family brought was gone. By 2:30 a.m., my home was back. My couch, my shelves, my lighting, my handmade bowls. Exactly how I wanted it. Saturday morning, Roy woke up and froze. "What the hell did you do?" I said, "I followed my style. That's my tradition." His face went red. "Where is everything?" I said, "Gone." He said, "You can't throw away my family's things?" I said, "Actually, I can. My name on the deed, remember?" He pulled out his phone, started calling his mom. An hour later, his entire family showed up. Delia was screaming, "Where are my things?" I stayed calm and said, "I donated them. This is my house." Roy's dad said, "You had no right." I pulled out the deed, showed them my name, said, "I have every right." Tess started crying. Roy looked between me and his family, said, "We need to talk about this." I said, "No, we don't. You chose silence." I chose action. Delia pointed her finger at me, said, "This isn't over." I smiled and said, "Yes, it is." They stood there in my living room looking at my furniture, my art, my style, everything they tried to erase. Roy said, "You're being unreasonable." I said, "You let them disrespect me in my own home for a week." You said nothing. His mom said, "A good wife compromises." I said, "A good husband protects his wife. You can all leave now." They didn't move. So I walked to the door and opened it.